All right, in this video, I'm going to go through one cosecant and one secant example where there are actually transformations done to it. So let's start first of all. We have a vertical shift. This is parts of this are going to be the same. That is up 3. Okay, we have a horizontal shift right here. That is right by pi. Okay, our amplitude is 2. Okay, now our period. Okay, so before we would take 2 pi divided by b. We're still going to do that here. So 2 pi divided by 1/2 is going to give us 4 pi. Our quarters are still the same. Take the period divided by 4, so it would just be pi. But so let's set up our table, and I'm going to fill it in as if this were sine. And then you'll see what I do from there. So my horizontal shift tells me where I'm going to start, and my quarters tell me what I count by. So I'm going to add pi. So 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi, 5 pi. Okay? So if this were sine, the values of sine would have been 0, 1, 0, -1, 0. Okay, so if I put pi into here and this were sine, okay, I would have gotten 0, so then just 3. If this were sine, I would have gotten 1 here, so 5, -1 here, so 1. Okay, so now remember though, for cosecant, okay, anywhere that you had a 0, that's your VA. Okay, so first I'm going to do a rough sketch graph with a dashed line of the sine. Okay, so at pi, 3, 5, 3, 1, 3. So this is my sine graph. Okay, so let's place in those vertical asymptotes now. So there would be 1 here at pi, 1 at 3 pi, and 1 at 5 pi. Okay, at 2 pi, it would still be up at 5, and at 4 pi, it's still at 1. So remember, for cosecant, it creates those little like U parabola-like shapes, like so. Okay, and they ride along those vertical asymptotes, but technically never cross over them, just like all vertical asymptotes, you don't cross over. So now let's talk about our domain. So remember, it's x cannot equal your first vertical asymptote plus half of your period. So 2 pi times k. Right, our range, so in this case, look at the blue portion. So it goes from -infinity up to 1, and then it skips over from 1 to 5, and it picks back up at 5 and goes to infinity. Okay, so all of this stuff I filled out just the same. You just have to make your adjustments then for your vertical asymptotes and then drawing in the cosecant adjusted as well. Okay, so let's look at one for secant. Okay, so my vertical shift is 2. My horizontal shift, if you want to put up to, is right pi over 8. Okay, my amplitude is 2. My period is 2 pi divided by that b value, so divided by 2, so it's pi. My quarters, I take my period divided by 4. Okay, so I'm going to fill this out as if it were cosine, and then I'll make my adjustments from there. So my horizontal shift tells me where I'm starting, which is pi over 8. Now my quarters, I'm adding on pi over 4, but let's put that in terms of eighths. So that'd be 2 pi over 8. So this is 1 pi over 8. If I add 2 pi over 8, it's 3 pi over 8, 5 pi over 8, 7 pi over 8, and 9 pi over 8. So the values that go with cosine are 1, 0, -1, 0, 1. So if I would put in pi over 8, pretending that this were cosine, I would have gotten 1 here. So 2 minus 2 would be 0. If I put in 3 pi over 8, pretending this is cosine, I would have gotten 0. So these would just both be 2. And then -1 would get me 4. Okay, so remember, anywhere that was 0, not this 0, don't be confused by that, 0 here for cosine, if you take the reciprocal of that, those would be your vertical asymptotes. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. So Watch your scale here. This is pi over 8. This would be 2 pi. This is 3 pi, 5 pi, 7, and 9. So I'm going to first draw my cosine dashed graph. Now notice, hold on one second. Notice that there was this negative here, so our cosine graph is actually going to be upside down because it was reflected. Oh, shoot, I forgot to do it dashed. All right, so now let's place our asymptotes. So I have one here at 3 pi over 8 and one at 7 pi over 8. Now, the value for this guy is at 0, still at 4, and still 0. Okay, so remember it's going to create these two outside pieces are creating your like half parabolas that are coming and riding along that asymptote, and this is creating like that full parabola-esque shape in the middle there. Okay, so our domain x cannot be the location of our first vertical asymptote, so 3 pi over 8, plus half of your period. So my period was pi, so pi over 2k. My range, get the graph and where the red graphs or the reciprocal exists, so negative infinity up to 0, and then 4 up to infinity. Okay, so you treat a lot of it the same. It's really just how you graph it, and then your domain and range is different. Okay, so your homework are these 4 here. The key is below. Let me know if you have any questions.